Elon Musk, you deserve to know this before it's too late. I want to share with you a profound truth about money, one that the ultra-wealthy understand deeply, but seldom reveal. This insight has the power to completely transform how you view your finances in your later years, no matter how much or how little you've saved. Drop a comment below and tell me which state you're tuning in from. Because what I'm about to reveal isn't about quick riches or earning more. It's about grasping a fundamental shift in how money works after 65. Something far more valuable than any investment tip you've ever heard. Here's the secret the wealthy never talk about when it comes to money after 65. Money stops being about accumulation and starts being about time. Not the cliché time is money, but rather money equals the time you have left. The rich get this shift intuitively, but they rarely discuss it because it changes everything about how you should approach spending, saving, and living. When you're younger, money symbolizes future potential. You save to build a foundation, to buy a home, fund your children's education, travel when you retire. Money is a tool to create the life you dream of someday. But after 65, the game changes. Money becomes a means to buy time, the time to do what truly matters, to be with loved ones, to savor experiences that bring joy before that time runs out. Wealthy people recognize that once you have enough to cover your essentials and maintain dignity, every extra dollar saved is a dollar not spent on meaningful moments you can still enjoy. Their goal isn't to die with the largest bank balance, but to live a life rich in meaning and satisfaction, using their money to maximize the quality of their remaining time. This doesn't mean reckless spending. It means understanding that money hoarded beyond what you need for security often becomes a barrier to living fully. It's money sitting idle, waiting for a someday that might never come or might come when you can no longer appreciate it. Let me tell you about Virginia, a 73-year-old woman who learned this lesson the hard way. She spent her entire career saving diligently, living modestly, and investing wisely. By retirement, she had a nest egg many would envy. Proud of her financial discipline, Virginia kept living frugally, as if still building toward some distant goal. She denied herself small pleasures, a cooking class, a trip to visit her sister theater subscriptions because they weren't necessary and would reduce her savings. For 8 years, Virginia watched her savings grow while her daily life felt increasingly empty. Then her financial advisor, a seasoned professional familiar with wealthy clients, asked a simple but powerful question during their annual review. "Virginia, what exactly are you saving all this money for?" She replied cautiously. "Emergencies, long-term care, inheritance for my children." The advisor nodded, but then showed her the numbers. Based on her spending in assets, she could increase her monthly expenses by 60% and still have ample funds for emergencies and care, plus leave a substantial inheritance. Virginia had been living like she was poor despite being financially secure. Her advisor explained after a certain point, money is meant to be converted into experiences, comfort, and joy. Money sitting in accounts isn't working for you. It's working against you by preventing you from living fully. This revelation changed Virginia's life. She enrolled in that cooking class, planned the trip, subscribed to the theater series, and invited friends along. She hired help to clean her home, bought better food and clothing, and gave generously to her grandchildren while they could still benefit. Virginia realized she had been postponing enjoyment out of fear, but she already had enough. What she lacked was joy. Virginia's story highlights a crucial truth. Many people cling to financial habits that made sense when younger but no longer serve them. In your 20s, 30s, and 40s, delaying gratification and aggressive saving are wise. But in your 70s, those same habits can rob you of life's richness. The wealthy understand this shift because they've reached enough. They know money's true value lies in the experiences and comfort it can create, not just in security. And you don't have to be ultra-rich to apply this principle. You just need to define what enough means for you and use money beyond that point to enrich your life. Now consider George, 68, who wasn't wealthy but comfortable. With a modest pension, Social Security, and savings, he met his basic needs, but continued extreme frugality. After retirement, his daughter noticed he was denying himself joy, missing visits with grandchildren, hobbies, social events. Concerned, she asked him to calculate how much money he truly needed to maintain his lifestyle, including emergencies. George was surprised to find he already had more than enough. His daughter said, "Dad, you're living like you're poor when you're financially secure. You're saving money you don't need and missing out on happiness." This sparked a change. George started visiting his grandchildren regularly, joined a woodworking club, upgraded his living comfort, and stopped feeling guilty about spending on joy. He realized his saving habit was creating a present emergency, the emergency of not truly living. George's story proves this principle applies regardless of wealth. The key is knowing what you need for security and then using the rest to enhance your life. Now, you might worry this sounds irresponsible or reckless. I get it. I'm not suggesting careless spending or ignoring future needs. I'm urging you to calculate what you truly need for reasonable security and then question if saving beyond that is helping or hurting you. Many keep saving out of habit or fear, assuming more money always means more security. But after a point, more money often means less enjoyment without added safety. The wealthy see money as a tool, not a goal. They use it to craft lives filled with satisfaction, not to hoard it endlessly. This mindset is vital as you age because your ability to enjoy experiences may be limited by health or energy. Spending money on travel, social activities, or comfort while you can enjoy them creates far more value than saving for a future you might not fully experience. Financial security isn't just a number in the bank. It's having the resources and support to maintain dignity and comfort. Sometimes that means spending on health, relationships, or living conditions that improve your quality of life. Now, the wealthy also grasp that money's value diminishes over time, not just due to inflation, but because your capacity to convert money into meaningful experiences changes. A $1,000 trip with grandchildren today is worth more than the same $1,000 saved for a future when you might not have the health or energy to enjoy it. This doesn't mean abandoning planning. It means planning to use money intentionally to create the best life possible now. Balancing security with enjoyment, saving with spending. The secret is this. Money after 65 serves a different purpose than before. Before 65, it builds security and future possibilities. After 65, it transforms possibilities into realities you can still savor. This shift demands a new mindset. You must see money not just as something to preserve but as a tool to craft a meaningful, joyful life. The question isn't how can I save more, but how can I use what I have to live fully while staying secure. This leads to choices that might mean spending on experiences, relationships, comfort, and generosity that create immediate value, not just future safety. The wealthy know the best investment in later years is often in your happiness and well-being, not just your portfolio. Money left unspent is opportunity lost. Excessive saving can become a prison stopping you from living fully. But this wisdom requires courage to challenge lifelong habits to spend on yourself after years of sacrifice, to trust you deserve joy from your hard work. Many struggle with this because they equate financial virtue with deprivation. They've internalized sacrifice as noble and spending on themselves as selfish. But using money to create joy, connection, and meaning isn't selfish. It's wise. Money has no intrinsic value. Its worth lies in what it creates in your life. Spending on happiness is intentional conversion of financial resources into life resources. Generosity and shared experiences invest in what truly matters as you age. Comfort and convenience acknowledge your present well-being matters as much as future security. The wealthy understand that money spent on meaningful experiences builds memories and satisfaction that grow over time. Money sitting idle creates only the illusion of security beyond what's needed. Regret over missed experiences often outweighs the fleeting satisfaction of watching balances grow. Share this message with someone who might be saving money they could use to improve their life now while staying secure. Subscribe if you believe money is a tool for creating meaningful experiences, not just a resource to hoard. So, what's one way you could use money this week to enrich your life while maintaining your financial security? The choice is yours. Will you keep hoarding or start living? Elon Musk might say, "You deserve to know this before it's too late." Before I begin, tell me in the comments what state you're tuning in from, because this isn't random advice you'll find in a textbook or from a talking head on TV. This is something that the wealthiest people on the planet quietly understand but rarely reveal. And if you grasp it now, it could change the way you see your money and your life forever. This isn't about a quick scheme. It isn't about doubling your income overnight. What I'm about to share is about shifting how you measure wealth once you reach a certain age. And here's the truth. After 65, money stops being about accumulation and starts being about time. Not time is money. That's for the younger years. But money equals time remaining. The wealthy know this. They live differently because of it. And the tragedy is very few people outside that circle ever hear this truth until it's too late. When you're young, money buys possibility in your 20s, 30s, even 40s. Money is fuel for the future. You save. You sacrifice, you invest because the goal is to buy tomorrow's freedom. A house, your kids' education, retirement trips you've dreamed of. But after 65, the equation flips. Tomorrow isn't decades away anymore. The clock looks different. Money is no longer about someday. It's about what you can experience, enjoy, and live before the chance disappears. The rich understand this shift. That's why they don't cling to every dollar like it's sacred. They've realized something profound. Every dollar saved past the point of basic security is often a dollar not being used to buy joy, memories, and connection while they still can. Virginia's story, living like she was still saving for later. Let me tell you about Virginia. She's 73. She lived her entire life being cautious with money, saving diligently, investing wisely. By the time she retired, she had more than enough. But here's the twist. Even after retirement, Virginia still acted like she was preparing for a future that never arrived. She turned down trips she wanted to take. She skipped classes she dreamed of joining. She denied herself pleasures, all because spending felt wrong. Her account balances grew, but her days felt emptier. Then one day her financial advisor asked her a shocking question. "Virginia, what are you saving for now?" At first she said emergencies, health care, inheritance, but then he pulled out the numbers and showed her something she'd never considered. She could spend 60% more every month and still have more than enough for any reasonable future scenario. That was her wake-up call. Virginia realized she was living like she was poor. Even though she was secure, her money had become a trophy she admired instead of a tool she used. She started spending differently, not recklessly, but meaningfully. A trip to see her sister. A subscription to the theater. She always loved a cooking class, hiring help so she had more time for what mattered. She even started giving to her children while she was alive so she could see their joy instead of leaving it all for after she was gone. Her words. "I thought I was saving for later, but I already had enough for later. What I didn't have enough of was now." George's story. Security without living now. Let's talk about George, 68 years old. He wasn't rich. He lived comfortably on a pension, Social Security, and some savings. But his frugality followed him into retirement. His daughter finally asked him, "Dad, how much do you actually need to keep your life secure for the rest of your years?" When George ran the math, he realized he already had it. More than enough. Yet he was still living like he didn't. That conversation flipped a switch. George started traveling to see his grandkids. He joined a woodworking club he'd secretly wanted to try. He spent on comfort without guilt. And for the first time in years, he felt alive again. George put it this way: "I was protecting myself from a future emergency while creating a present one. The emergency of not really living." What Virginia and George discovered by accident. Wealthy people already know. They know that money is a tool, not the finish line. Beyond security, more saving doesn't equal more life. It equals less. A dollar spent on creating joy now is often worth infinitely more than a dollar saved for a tomorrow you may not even reach. Think about it. $1,000 spent taking your grandchildren on a trip while you're healthy creates a memory that outlives you. That same $1,000 left untouched in an account might one day pass on, but without the impact it could have had today. The rich understand that unused money becomes wasted potential. Why this is hard for most people? Maybe this feels wrong to you. Maybe it sounds irresponsible after a lifetime of being told to save. And yes, you should always protect your security first. But once you've calculated what's enough, clinging to every extra dollar isn't discipline. It's fear disguised as wisdom. The courage is not in hoarding. The courage is in using your money to live while you still can. And here's the truth. Nobody says out loud. Money you never spend, never share, never use. It doesn't matter how big the number gets. It dies with you. What you need to ask yourself right now. So, here's the real question. Not how can I save more, but how can I use the money I already have to create the richest, most meaningful life possible while still maintaining security? Wealthy people know the answer. They buy time, they buy experiences, they buy freedom, they buy connection. And the best part, you don't need Elon Musk's fortune to live by this principle. You just need clarity on what's enough and the courage to enjoy the rest while you still can. Elon Musk once said, "Time is the ultimate currency." And that's the truth. After 65, the goal isn't to die with the biggest bank balance. The goal is to die knowing you converted your money into the most joy, meaning, and memories possible.